Hello everybody, this is your house shrink and I'm doing another live stream here. And today I'm going to be talking about a topic that seems to be a real problem. I see it on all the videos and I call it how to navigate the end of love. And that is, sometimes love is something that is taken away from you either by death or unrequited love when someone no longer wants to be with you. And it's very difficult, it's very painful. So it's normal for it to be difficult and painful. So before I start, I'm going to tell you I'm having some tea. And this tea is Ceylon Earl Grey, really good. Create rituals for yourself. My rituals after lunch, I have some tea. Create rituals because that's one of the causes of health. Okay, so now, getting back to how to navigate the end of love. First, what happens is you have to know what it is that you lost and what it is that you need to repair. What happens with love is that there's one of three wounds, what I call archetypal wounds, that I found in every culture that I studied, the anthropology and the psychology of it. And one is abandonment, the other one is shame, and the third is betrayal. So first you have to find out if someone left you or someone doesn't want to be with you anymore. Find out what it is that the wound that you are identifying with. Are you feeling abandoned? Was it from shame? Or was it from betrayal? Betrayal is usually a trick or playing with your trust. So whichever it was, you have to find out what it was, number one. Once you find out what it is, then there are antidotes. In my theory of biocognitive science, I have antidotes for each of the wounds. So the wound for abandonment is commitment to self. And I'll explain that in a minute. Commitment to self. Just keep that in mind. For shame is honor to self. And for the third one, which is the most difficult one to deal with, which is betrayal, is loyalty to self. So that's the first thing that you have to be able to see to know how to repair. And I'll go back to it after a while, but let me explain now, what is it that you lost, that you thought you lost? First, a sense of belongingness, because you felt belongingness with that person. Second, a companionship, because you had a companionship with that person. And third, joy, the joy that you were able to experience when you were with that person. But what you have to realize is that that person didn't give you anything. You brought your belongingness with you, you brought your joy with you, and you brought your companionship with you. So in order to repair, in order to deal with unrequited love, you have to bring those extended parts of self back. And the way you do it is that, what is belongingness? Belongingness is permission to be in a particular place or in a particular relationship. For example, a sorority, a fraternity, a job, a team. You have permission to be there. So you didn't know that you were taking belongingness with you in the relationship. You didn't know that you were giving yourself permission to be there. So when you leave, you're the one who has to take the permission back. Understand that. So nobody gave you anything, you took it there. Companionship, yes, you can have a companionship with someone, but when you leave that, you have to take the companionship back and begin to have a companionship with yourself, which is very important. If you don't like being alone, then you're in bad company. You got to work on that company then. Because if not, then you look for people to make you feel like you have a companionship. Rather than when you have a companionship with yourself, then you take that there and then you're co-authoring rather than taking from that person. When it's over, you bring back your companionship. Joy, you take it to a relationship. Nobody gives you joy. You take it to a relationship, and then when it's over, you bring it back. So how do you repair? How do you bring it back? I just can't just give you words about it. It's not enough. I have to give you a method of doing it. First, with belongingness, you begin to practice accepting where you are. If you're by yourself, accept that you have permission to be there. If you're having dinner, permission to be there. You give yourself permission. And that is what belongingness is all about, permission to be in a place. That's what needs to be practiced. Second, companionship. You had a companionship with someone, but you also have a companionship with yourself. So you bring it back and you begin to look at what kind of treatment are you giving yourself. For example, if you have dinner by yourself, do you feel that something's missing? Well, what's missing is that you're not paying attention to you, to your best friend, which is you. So that's how you begin to cultivate companionship. You could be in a crowd and feel lonely, and you could be alone and feel very complete. And the third has to do with joy. Joy is not something that you're born with. You have to learn joy. Joy is quite an evolved set of emotions and cognitions. Joy is not a feeling; it's a family of feelings. Just like love is not a feeling; it's a family of feelings. Happiness, you can count on it sometimes, but you can't count. You just can't count on it all the time. And joy, you can. Happiness, you buy a new car, you're happy. The car breaks down, you're unhappy. You start a new relationship, you're happy. It's over, you're unhappy. It's something that you don't have control over. You can try to maximize happiness, but you can't control it because it's an external process. Joy is an internal process, and that's what I'm going to teach you today about joy. And that internal process has to be learned. When you say babies are joyful, they're not. Babies just are happy or sad. They're hungry, they're sad, they cry. They eat, they're happy, they smile. But they don't know joy. Joy is a very existential, very complicated process that you can learn like anything else. A little break here for more tea. Those of you who are joining me, please ask questions as I go along, because I'll interrupt immediately and go to your question and come back. I'm used to that, and that's very important. If you have a question, I have to stop what I'm doing and go to your question, because that's what matters then. And then I can go back into my conversation and my presentation here. So, how do you then create joy? It's very simple. You don't need money, you don't need a car, you don't need anything external. Joy, very simply, go into yourself. Go into what's called the quietude in contemplative psychology. Quietude, just go inward. And don't try to look for anything. Just go inward to see what's there. Just what's there. And what's there is something good that has been covered up with fear and resentment and anger and all these other things that we do. But when you go inward and you see that quietude, that is a terrain of joy, because gradually then you begin to get a little bit of serenity, a little bit of hope, a little bit of self-love, a sense of belongingness in the moment. And all those things put together is what makes you feel joyful, because it comes from inside and you project it outside. So it's very important to see that. So I'm going to stop for a moment and see if anyone has any questions. And before I go on, and I'll get some more tea here, while you're asking your questions, don't be afraid to ask questions, because that's the best way to learn something. And you're getting this information from a clinical psychologist. I also want to recommend that you go to my YouTube channel, because I have over 120 videos. They're free, of course, on all kinds of things, on relationships, on requited love, on many, many things about health, growing older, aging, all those kind of things that are really important, that are good to learn when you're young, not when you get older. So, and it's simply just Dr. Mario Martinez YouTube channel. That's it. Just like here is House Shrink. And by the way, if you haven't followed my channel, please do, because that's how I can keep you in touch with all the new information that's going on. Okay, we'll keep going. There are many people showing up, but nobody's asking questions. Don't be shy. All right, now, when you're trying to understand the end of a relationship, you don't have to vilify the person. You don't have to make him a terrible person. You don't have to make yourself a terrible person. It's just that relationships have a length. Some of them go all the way through life, and some of them go as far as they can in the process of you learning about life. And when you try to force a relationship to continue when it's over, you're going to be carrying a weight, because you're going to be putting up with things that you normally would not put up with. You would become someone who's not you, and then it'll be very miserable. You'll have someone with you. You have a companion, but you won't have companionship. So it's very important to see that. So when something is over, it's painful. But I promise you that if you were able to bring these three things back that I talked about: belongingness, permission for you to be wherever you are; companionship, how you treat yourself. And joy, the serenity, the quietude. If you practice it, you can just sit now and practice, and you'll begin to feel in the middle of a storm. You begin to feel, first what you feel is a little bit of a serenity, which is the founding part of it. Then after the serenity, you begin to feel a little bit of self-caring. And you begin to feel what people say joy, which is a combination of emotions and also a bit of hope that things are not going to be as bad as you think. And also a sense that you are a good person, even though you're imperfect, that you're a good person. So it's important to understand that joy is within you. Nobody gives you joy. You take it wherever you go. And you could be in a hut in the middle of the Amazon and be very joyful, or you could be in Beverly Hills in a mansion and be miserable. So it's nothing to do with external things. Okay, questions about the end of love. Come up with a question and I'll answer it for you and I'll give you examples. So navigating the end of joy, the end of love, requires for you to be aware what you contributed to the relationship. Not that someone just gave you something and now that person is gone, well, I can never feel this again. You brought in something. You have a co-authorship. And when you're not aware of that, then you think that you lost everything. You only lost the half that was co-authoring with you. You didn't lose your belongingness, you didn't lose your companionship, and you didn't lose your joy. But it has to be practiced because it's a counterintuitive thing. It's not a reasonable thing to say, well, I lost this, so obviously there's a loss. Yeah, there's a loss of the co-authoring, but it's not a loss of love, because you can continue to love yourself. And what happens is that when someone puts you down, and when someone leaves you and there's unrequited love, there's a tendency, if you're a normal person, there's a tendency to feel bad about yourself and to wonder what you did wrong. And I can tell you that in any relationship that's worthwhile, no matter what you do, it's workable. If the two of you can be honest with each other and try to work the differences, because nobody's perfect. I don't know anybody perfect. Actually, it'd be very boring to be perfect if it existed, and it doesn't. So if there's anything that happened, that you made a mistake or an indiscretion or whatever, it can be worked out if the love is deep. If it's superficial, then no. Any little thing will give you an excuse to go look for the next soulmate. The word soulmate is so overused, it's so abused. My soulmate of the month. It doesn't work that way. It's not like that. A soulmate is a very powerful, powerful connection that you have with someone. So if you start blaming yourself, stop and ask yourself, okay, I can start blaming myself and put myself into nostalgia, how it could have been, what I could have done. You can do that, or you can begin to repair because you have been wounded. You can begin to repair the wound, knowing that it had to be either abandonment, that it had to be betrayal, or it had to be shame. And actually, there's a psychoneuroimmunology. There's a mind-body reaction to each of the wounds. So one of the worst is shame, because shame causes inflammation. When somebody says, you're so stupid, you're worthless, your body secretes molecules of inflammation as if you had some kind of pathogen out there, because the immune system understands things with the brain being cultural. So words have meaning, and words have an effect. And many illnesses that I've seen, fibromyalgia, rheumatoid arthritis, MS, have some relationship to shame. They have some relationship to the inflammation that's caused by the problem, and then the inflammation can turn into an autoimmune type of problem. Abandonment feels cold. When you've been abandoned, you were a child, or you've been abandoned, you feel cold. Your mommy's not there, and everybody else is there. There's a coldness. Shame is hot, and betrayal is hot too, because betrayal has to do with anger. And it causes a lot of problems. It causes hypertension and other kinds of problems because you're constantly on anger, and that you have been betrayed, that you have been tricked. And actually, you can see this with a child. If you say, here, I'll give you this pen if you do a dance for me, and then they do the dance and you say, no, I'm not going to give it to you. They're not shamed or abandoned. They get angry because that is a betrayal of your trust. When you're with a person that tells you that, oh, yes, I'm sorry, and they do it again, oh, yes, I'm sorry, they do it again, they don't care. They're unable or unwilling to change. You can't be with someone like that. If they have an addiction or if they're cheating on you, it's just part of who they are, and they need to grow up on their own, not at your expense. That's very important to see. Not at your expense. Grow up on your own, not taking you as baggage so they can dump on you. Okay, I'm going to stop again and see if there's any questions. We have a quiet group today, a lot of people, but no one's saying anything. Remember, House Shrink is here for you. So if you have complaints, questions, come on, bring them up. A lot of people. So we have RDTN 1992 just joined us. Welcome. Does a TN stand for Tennessee? Because I live in Tennessee. Just wondered. You can tell me. So Jolly Manus joined us. Hi, welcome. Any questions, write them and let me know, and I'll try to answer them for you. Okay, to bring everything together, the end of love is the beginning of an opportunity to love yourself. And that sounds nice and poetic, but it's true. It's an opportunity to love yourself. It's an opportunity to not go into self-neglect, because that can happen. And it's also an opportunity to, when you learn more about love, and you learn more about the importance and the beauty and the profoundness of love, then it'll be easier for you to give it and share it. Because how can you give something you don't know what it is? It's very difficult. You have to know what it is first to be able to give it. So learn to love yourself first by the techniques that I told you about, and then go out and begin to share your love very selectively. Don't just give it out to anybody. Not everybody's worthy of your love. The people who will use it and abuse it. You don't want that. You don't want anybody to abuse it. You want people to rejoice with the beauty that you have to offer, with the uniqueness that you have to offer. I mean, think about it. When someone says that they love you, and they mean it, there's 7 billion people in the world, and they chose you to love. Think about how beautiful that is. But at the same time, you chose that person out of 7 billion people in the world to love. So it has to be a mutual gift. And in my books and the Mind-Body Code, I talk about Guardians of the Heart. It's a model of relationships where you can learn to develop and grow with each other. So I also recommend, if you're interested in more about my work, the Mind-Body Code and the Mind-Body Self. They're best-selling books on Amazon. You can get them anytime. But I really strongly recommend that you go also to YouTube, because I have so many videos there. Some are long and some are good. All of them are good, I think. I wouldn't put anything up that's not good. But some of them are shorter. If you don't have a lot of time, just listen 5-10 minutes, and others are an hour. But I have over 500,000 people that have visited my YouTube channel, and it's growing tremendously. So there's a lot there at no cost. Maria is here now. Maria just joined us. Hi, Maria. If you have any questions, go ahead and please ask. We're coming to an end, and I hope that you get an idea of what it is to navigate the end of love by first understanding the wound, the archetypal wound. What is it how were you wounded? Abandonment, betrayal, shame. And then the antidotes are, for abandonment, commitment to self. For shame, honor to self. And for betrayal, loyalty to self. And I'll be talking more about this as I do these streamings. But hello, Maria. It's good to have you here. Maria just said hi. Do you have any questions? Anybody has any questions? I'll drink some more tea. And I'm wearing my fatigue, ready to battle the end of love. Okay. Any questions before I leave? Getting ready to go. And I want to make sure that I answer any questions that anybody that might be here. The thing to remember is that you will always, after a period of time that you work through, time doesn't do anything. You have to work through time. You will be so pleased that someone had the good sense of letting you go. Because you go, boy, I really got something better now. And look at the things that I was dealing with. So one more thing before I go. Look for early signs of your intuition saying there's something wrong here. Look for that, because that usually doesn't get any better. You see someone who's consistently late, or who is consistently criticizing you, even with a little sarcasm, or they're doing things that kind of give you a sense that something's not right. Pay attention to it. Because if you don't pay attention to it, it'll grow and it'll get worse. And you can't love someone out of something that they're not. A chair cannot be loved into a table. That's it. You can love a chair all you want, but it's a chair, not a table. And what you have to do is be aware. Don't be paranoid. Just be aware of the things that people do. Not one time somebody makes a mistake, because nobody is perfect. The key is patterns. So here someone saying, so true, never ignore red flags. They're there. What happens psychologically is that we hope in a healthy but naive way that love can conquer everything. That you found somebody who's a liar, and love can conquer that. No, love can't conquer that. That person has to work out on their own. And you cannot be their therapist. You don't want broken people. You want people that don't need to be fixed. You want people that they got it together, to grow together. Doesn't mean that you're perfect, to grow together. But if somebody has some really serious problems, you can't be a therapist for that person. You can't be a fixer for that person, because they'll suck you into their pathology or their darkness. And that's not what a relationship is all about. Remember, you can pick, you can select. We can't save people, absolutely. For a Zoom meeting, what are you asking about a Zoom meeting? I do have some Zoom videos, as I mentioned earlier, in my YouTube, Dr. Mario Martinez YouTube. You'll go there and you'll see huge, over 120, 130 videos that are available to you. Some of the ones you see here on TikTok, and some of the others that I have on relationships. I talk a lot about health and how to trigger the causes of health. One of the causes of health, by the way, is setting emotional limits with people. To say, no, this is as far as I go. And then to give them permission to not like it. Give people permission to not like your limits. If you don't give them permission, they will emotionally bring you back into what they want. So this is as far as I go. Oh, I don't like it. Well, I'm sorry, then I guess it's going to be your problem not to like it. Very important. People that don't have emotional limits get sick. They're not healthy. I'm still learning that, or how. Well, it's a process, and stick with this, and let your friends know about this, because there's a lot of pain in TikTok. There's a lot of people hurting. Let them know that this is available. Let them follow my channel. This is all free. I don't make any money out of it. This is my way of giving back with my knowledge in psychology. And if you're interested in my books, of course, I would love for you to get my books. But mainly it's just to give something back for the people that are hurting, but also for the people that want to know joy. It's not all about pain. It's about learning to enjoy your life, learning that you are a very special person for just being here. You're a very special person. But you have to be able to see it. You have to be able to see it. You don't have to wait for people to tell you how wonderful you are. One more thing and we'll stop. Be aware that when someone gives you a compliment, don't do the pseudo humbleness thing. Accept the compliment because it's a gift and go into gratitude. And somebody says, oh, I love your eyes. Oh, well, everybody's got blue eyes. No. Thank you very much. That is a gratitude, which is really good for your health also. Gratitude and generosity are good for your health. Those emotions are really, really powerful for your health. They help the immune system. They help your brain chemistry. Powerful stuff. So learn to accept compliments gracefully. You don't have to boast about it, but if someone says, you're really, really sharp, you're very intelligent. Oh, thank you. Thank you for noticing that. That's it. That's all you have to do. Acknowledge, which is another way of saying gratitude. Gratitude. Also, I see more people coming in, and they just keep coming in, so I'll give you some more so you don't lose it. Something else that I teach, and I'm going to get some more tea. So think of questions while I get my tea here. Okay. Something else that I teach that is very important is the ability to feel admiration without envy. Admiration without envy is extremely important because we are designed to pay attention to things that are laudable, things that are special, so we can imitate it. So that's what admiration is. And it's so powerful that our nervous, immune, and endocrine system respond to it in a very specific way. When you admire someone without envy, you will have something called oxytocin, which is a hormone neurotransmitter that is extremely good for your health, for your heart. It happens with breastfeeding, it happens with orgasms, it happens when you smile at someone and they smile back at you. It's not sexual, it's just a connection, a bonding. But if you admire with the resentment or with the envy, it doesn't work. The system was not made for that. It's made for you to feel a sense of joy for someone else's triumphs and someone else's good fortune. And one of the ways to practice it is a Buddhist technique. It's called the Four Immeasurables. One of them is to say, let me look at the people around me that have done well, and let me celebrate, feel the joy for their accomplishments. And at first it's going to be difficult. You might feel a little bit of jealousy here, a little bit of resentment, but no, allow it to happen, and gradually you'll be able to celebrate your own accomplishments as well as other people's accomplishments. And what will happen is your oxytocin will go up, and serotonin and endorphin, all the good things that make the person stay healthy and have a strong immune system. So it's not just up in your head, it's mind, body. But be aware of that. Okay, anybody else, any questions? They still keep coming up, but no questions. We have a lot of people who are shy or just don't have any questions. So, okay. I'm going to be leaving in a couple of minutes, so if there are no questions, what I'm going to do, I can't post this on TikTok because, as you know, it only holds up, it works up to 60 seconds, and this is going to be probably a half hour. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it posted on YouTube, and the title, you know, now is How to Navigate the End of Love. In case you want to see it again, or some of you missed it, or you can tell your friends, go to my YouTube channel, Dr. Mario Martinez, and you'll find it there. Let's see, why do some men come on very strong and then disappear? Because they're idiots. It's that simple. They're idiots. They come on strong and then they get afraid, because when people have low self-esteem, especially the ghosting, I can't stand ghosting, it's cowards. When people have low self-esteem, let's say they like you and they think you're attractive and intelligent, and then they come on strong, but then self-esteem says, wait a minute, not conscious, it says, no, this person's too good for me, let me run. And they run away from you because they don't feel worthy of your goodness or your intelligence or your beauty or whatever it is. That's most of the reason. So when someone comes on strong and they leave, celebrate. Go out and celebrate, because you have just gotten rid of an imbecile, not worthy of you. People who have good self-esteem are willing to invest in you and are not afraid of you doing well. It's another thing. In relationships, you got to be with a person that when you do well, they celebrate, they're happy. They're not resentful or jealous. That's unhealthy. It's not good. Because what they do is they keep you down. They won't allow you to flourish and grow. Somebody says, you're wonderful, thanks. Thank you very much. By the way, you notice that when people say thank you, say no problem. I did a video on that. Don't do the no problem thing. What the hell is this no problem? Say thank you. My pleasure. That's it. Lovely. Good language. Why? Because what you say is a reflection of what's going on in here. And if what you say is something that's not correct, what's going on in here is not correct. So from now on, no more no problems. Just thank you very much. I appreciate it. I love your hair. Thank you very much. Appreciate that very much. And enjoy, smile. It's okay. It's okay. But see, our tribes teach us that we can't really express ourselves, because that would be being conceited. No, it's not being conceited, it's being joyful. When you're beautiful, it's a gift. Accept it. Thank you. It irritates me when someone tells me, no problem. No kidding. Yeah. Every time anybody says that to me, I say, what, were you expecting a problem? Huh? What do you mean? No problem. What is no problem? It's like you got to walk on eggshells. Let me make sure that there's no problem. And what that does, it puts you on alarm. Language is important. Language is an expression of what's going on here. And if anything, no problem, no problem, no problem, what the hell's going on? We're not in a war zone. So say thank you, and that's it. So I'm glad you bring it up. And you should be irritated. Anybody who says no problem to you, why, were you expecting a problem? And just play with them to see how they start coming out. That's, yeah, it could have been a problem to them. Yeah, possibly. But when you thank somebody, for that to be a problem, that's kind of weird, isn't it? You say, thank you, no problem. No problem for thanking? What the hell's going on? You see? It's very important. And this is just a kind of trendy things that go on in our cultures, but they reflect our brain. My specialty is mind and body communication, so I can tell you that what you say reflects how your body and your mind respond, because you are a reflection. Your language is a reflection of who you are. And you know what I would like to ask you? I would like to ask you to pay attention of how many times you say like when you talk. And the reason, I did another little video on that, and it's funny, because the reason is that we talk with like. But what does like mean? Like I love you? Well, do you love me or not? Like is like a parallel universe. And you use it, and it takes you away from the reality of what you're doing. Like I want to talk to you, and like I don't think that you're going to understand, like I think, like, what the hell, what? It's either or it's not. Like I'm upset with you. Is it like a combination of being upset and not being upset? Or is it being upset? So what I would say is clean up your language as much as you can. I have to do it. We all have to do it. So take the like out. And like, it's called a disfluency in psychology. When you say, and like, that's the brain trying to make a little time for you to think. So for example, if I say, like I was really upset with the way that she talked to me, like instead of that, I was very upset with the way that she talked to me. See, pause. Instead of the like, pause and let the brain put it together, and you're gonna be understood a lot better. You're going to be accepted a lot better in that you are saying something that's clear to the person. So get away from all those little disfluencies that don't help in any way. And after a while, you're just talking, and it's more like than anything else. So be aware of that. Clean up your language so you can clean up your head. So how do you like that? Questions? Thank you for that. You're welcome. Now, isn't that better than saying, no problem? See how much better it is? How, thank you. Gratitude. Rather than avoiding a problem. See? It's very important to see that. Pass on this information to your friends, because this is good knowledge, good information, good psychology, good anthropology, and that's what I'm trying to do. In one of the other videos that I'll do, I'll talk about centenarians, which is fascinating people. These are people that I studied all over the world who are 100 or older, and they're healthy. And this is for young people. When I do lectures on centenarians, the younger the better, because if you learn how to be a centenarian, you can actually learn longevity. Longevity is, genetics is only 20%. So if you learn centenarian consciousness, you're going to age a lot slower. You're going to stay younger and healthier longer if you learn how they deal with the world. And that's what I'll be talking about in one of the, and if you're interested in any particular topics, please write me, put it up, and I'll try to answer them for you, because I have a lot of topics that are very important. But centenarians are very, very popular when I do lectures. A lot of young people come to my workshops when I do centenarian workshops, because they want to learn how these people. When I first started, I'm a neuropsychologist, and I thought, well, it's got to be genetics. It's just genetics, and it's in the genes. It's not. 20% is genes. The rest is how they view the world. Of course, how they eat and everything. But some of them will eat meat, some don't, some dairy. It doesn't matter. They have a sense of balance. They don't abuse anything. But the thing about it is that they have a way of looking at the world that's exciting. I talked to a centenarian, and I'll tell you two things about centenarians. One, this woman was 102 and she was beautiful. And you'll see that there's no pseudo humbleness there. I said, "You're a beautiful person." And she said, "Oh, yes, thank you, I am. I've always been beautiful ever since I was a little girl." See how refreshing that is? Now, another thing about, so they love themselves in a good way. Another, they think they have all the time in the world. And that's how you have to live, by the way. Even if you're 15 or 80, live that way. They think they have all the time in the world. I talked to a 101-year-old man, and he had a garden, a vegetable garden. And I said, "Oh, this is really a nice vegetable, very, very good vegetable garden. It's beautiful." And he said, "Yeah, it's beautiful, but wait till you see it in 4 years." You see, they elongate time. And when you elongate time, it's another way of creating a cause of health. Otherwise, you're in what I call the urgent present, which is constantly moving. Slow down. And I'll talk about that in other videos that I'll do. Now that I have the streaming, I can do the streaming. I have enough followers now that they allow me to do streaming. So I'll do that. So before I go, any other questions? More tea and questions. Let's see. Good point. Yes, so much better. Thank you. A lot of people here, but the questions are limited. It's okay. Don't be shy. And if there are no questions, that's fine. Then we'll end it and make sure that you tell your friends about my channel and follow my channel. How Shrink. Very simple. Because I have a lot of stuff that I put out there, and it's going to make you better. It's going to help you psychologically to deal with yourself, to deal with relationships, to deal with parents, and to deal with idiots. You'll develop a strong sensitivity to idiots. Pick up on them and nope, you go play with someone else. Go toxify someone else, not me. And that's what you'll find. The Gold Doc just joined. Hi, Gold Doc. How are you? Have any questions? Okay. It looks like let's see. What's your opinion on self-centered people? Well, you see, there's a difference between healthy narcissism and self-centered people. Healthy narcissism means that you love yourself enough, you don't have to brag about it, but you bring other people into your love. Self-centered people are so much into themselves that they can't see what else is going on out there. And usually self-centered people have low self-esteem. Just like narcissists have low self-esteem. It's actually self-esteem disorder. You would think, a narcissist, they think they're the greatest. No, it's just compensating for their low self-esteem. And the self-centered people are usually insensitive to others. They're just about me, and about me, and me, and me. And they don't know how to give. They don't have the generosity needed. So self-centered people are very difficult to break through because all they care about is self. And if they meet you or they want to be with you, they say, let's see, how is this person going to be serving me? How is this person going to be helping my life? Or how is this person about me, and me? And people like that are very difficult to have a relationship with because they just don't share. And relationships are about sharing. It's not just about, oh, me. It's okay to have love for yourself, but you don't want to overwhelm the world. And it's not even love. Self-centered people are not loving themselves. They're just occupied with themselves, but that's not love. That's a self-centeredness that is unrelated to love. When you love yourself, you don't abuse it. Remember, you never abuse what you love. You only abuse what you need. High opinions about themselves. They do have high opinions about themselves, but remember that they do because they're compensating for low self-esteem. So the opinion that they have is what they put out, but when they're by themselves, they don't feel very good about themselves. So it's really a disorder of self-esteem that's compensated with narcissism or self-centeredness to overcome that and to compensate for the lack of self-love that they have. Actually, it's a lack of self-love that appears like you're loving too much. You're not loving too much. You're just too much attention without love. Okay, let's see. So we have the self-centered and we have all kinds of things here. So again, remember, before I leave, I want to tell you that you can go to my YouTube channel, Dr. Mario Martinez. All kinds of videos there. If you're interested in learning more about my work, I have 2 bestseller books on Amazon. You can get them anywhere. The Mind Body Self and the Mind Body Code. And I explain all kinds of things here. So that would be what I would suggest. And here, make sure that if you haven't followed my work, go ahead and follow it here at Health Shrink. Somebody says, I see a lot of it on TikTok. You're right. And this is why I'm here. I was so impressed in a negative way to see how many people here are hurting. Beautiful people, beautiful in every way because everybody's beautiful. About the rejection from idiots who are not worthy. But that's what I explained at the beginning, that you have to bring back your belongingness, you have to bring back your companionship, and you have to bring back your joy, knowing that you just put it out and you share it with someone. No one gave it to you. Okay, one more chance for one more question, and then if not, then I will be leaving. And I will be posting this on YouTube because as you know, on TikTok, you can only put up to 60 seconds. And if you have missed some of it, you can go back and look at it. All right, so thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you. And I suggest that you spread the word. Let people know what we have here. There's something good. Enjoy and have a great day.